Microsoft announced its 2021 Q4 earnings, and Xbox continues to perform very well. So leading up to the launch of the Xbox Series X and S, one of the biggest things people kept saying was that because the Xbox ecosystem was allowing you to access their games on any device, the console sales would be greatly affected and people had no reason to go out and buy an Xbox Series X and S. Now, obviously, since the launch of the Series X and S, Xbox has done so many great things with backwards compatibility, with things like auto HDR, the FPS boost, all that kind of stuff that really gives you that incentive to go out and pick up an Xbox Series X and S. And on top of that, you're getting such great power, such great hardware for a small price. So either $299 for the Xbox Series S or $499 for the Xbox Series X. And as we've gone through this year, Q4 is continuing to show that the strategy Xbox has employed with the Xbox consoles is working. So Microsoft put out their Q4 earnings, and what we can really take away from this is that the sales of the Xbox Series X and S has not been hindered at all by their strategy. The only thing really holding it back is that chip shortage and the struggle right now for these manufacturers to meet the demand. So overall, Xbox saw an 11% increase in gaming revenue year over year in this past quarter, while software and services revenue slumped 4% compared to the record numbers in 2020. Now, these numbers are also coming as we're seeing the opening up of the economies more and more in the United States, in Canada, because obviously last year at this time, there were tons of lockdowns. People didn't have anything to do, couldn't go anywhere, couldn't see anybody. And a lot of people invested in video games and entertainment. So for companies like Xbox, for like PlayStation, for any in-home entertainment, Netflix, all that kind of stuff, really saw the benefits of that. So as we go through this next year, if things continue to go well, the economy continues to open up, people can start traveling, people can go to stores whenever they want, we're going to see obviously these numbers fall a bit. Now, in terms of the 128 million decrease in content and services revenue, Microsoft here is saying that one of the reasons this is occurring is because of the decline in third-party titles, which saw people through those stay-at-home orders. However, we are coming on to a time where Xbox is starting to release their first-party games, and we're starting to see great announcements for Xbox Game Pass. Like we saw their E3 showcase where they announced 27 of those 30 games coming out on to Xbox Game Pass. So I wouldn't be surprised as we go through this quarter, we go through the end of this year, going into next year, that $128 million decrease in content and services revenue starts to shrink. And I'll be very interested to see the report after the release of Forza Horizon 5 and Halo Infinite, how much that affects the software and services revenue. Now, in terms of the actual hardware sales of the consoles, Microsoft has reported a 3-figure growth for Xbox hardware revenue this quarter, increasing 172%. And they're saying this is bolstered by the launch of the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S in November. However, obviously, like I said, with the chip shortage, they are definitely facing supply constraints. But CEO Satya Nadella has said that the consoles were the fastest selling Xbox consoles ever, with more consoles sold life to date than any previous generation. And to me, that is the major story here of this earnings report, this Q4 2021 earnings report, is the fact that the console sales are doing extremely well. Now, we know with Xbox that the specific singular console sales isn't what they want to focus on. Their focus is growing that ecosystem no matter where you are playing on Xbox. But the fact that they can release their first-party games across multiple devices, PC, mobile, Xbox, soon to be a streaming stick, soon to be a smart TV app, all that kind of stuff where you don't actually need to go out and buy a console to play these games. The fact that their consoles are still selling very well, in my opinion, is very impressive. And I think no matter where they release Xbox Game Pass, no matter how many more devices they put it on, I still think the Xbox Series X and S is going to sell extremely well because it's a great price point, there's great power, and there's a lot of just easier quality of life features when you get an Xbox than if you are trying to play these games on a PC or stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, the Xbox console is probably the best and easiest way to access Xbox Game Pass to play the AAA next generation games with just how easy it is to plug in and set up. And you can sit back on your couch. And that's one of the big things. A lot of people don't want to sit in front of a laptop in front of a monitor, mouse and keyboard and stuff, and they want to just sit back at the end of the day, put their feet up, have a drink, and play games on their couch. And that's where the Xbox consoles are going to thrive. I mean, me personally, I have a good PC with a 2080 in it, and I rarely play my games on my PC. I'm generally, I would say 90% of the time playing on my Xbox consoles, unless obviously there's games on PC that I have friends on PC that I want to play with. Shooters mainly, because it's definitely easier to play shooters with a mouse and keyboard. Even though my entire life growing up I played with a controller. Halo, I've always played with a controller. Even with the Master Chief Collection, I still rather play it with a controller over the mouse and keyboard. But as I've gotten a bit older, as I've started to play more shooters with a mouse and keyboard, I've got more accustomed to aiming with a mouse. It's gotten a bit easier. So I still kind of now like to play shooters with a mouse and keyboard, but overall, the controller, the console, and everything for me is my go-to when playing games. But anyways, guys, that's it for you. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Let me know what you think about the Xbox financial results for fiscal year 2021 Q4, and let me know what you think about the consoles still selling extremely well, even though the Xbox ecosystem is everywhere. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here and you like what you see throughout this video, I'd really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button to help this channel grow and help grow this community so we can have great conversations in the comments below. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video. We'll be right back.